Hey guys, Kirk from the Forever Homestead. Surprise! We're back in the bunkie today. I'm really looking forward to some nice weather coming. It's like middle of February, so we still have probably a month of cold still. But anyway, it's giving me some good time to finish up this bunkie. So we have a nice, awesome place to stay in the summer. Anyway, I'm working on the kitchenette, whatever you want to call it, in tiny house language, bunkie language. So what I got to finish this wall. Yesterday I was out here and I finished the little 4-foot wall on the end here. It's just a 2-foot spacing. I'm going to insulate it, vapor barrier it, and then put another piece of this 1/4-inch OSB on it. It's not going to have any kind of a structural load or anything, so it's the counter is going to be down here. The grand plan is going to be to make a bulkhead all the way across there, and then like an 8-inch piece down there. Because then in the winter, we can actually build some kind of a panel, insulated panel that fits in there. And then in the summer, we can take that panel and move it out of the way behind this wall. There's a little bit of a gap back there. Because this door, we want to be able to open it, screen it in and open it for the summer. So what I'm working on right now is I need to get the rest of this wall insulated, vapor barrier, put the acoustic sealant top and bottom. But before I could seal anything in, I needed to do a rough-in for the plumbing. So what I've got going on here, we'll start at the top. So from that hole there, what is that? My finger, sorry. So that hole there goes up into the mechanical room loft type thing. Sleeping quarters end back here somewhere. And then there's a wall that's going to be up there. So right above this, there's going to be a big, I forget how many gallons it is, 100 gallon maybe. Basically a big water tank that's going to sit up there that we're going to fill with a transfer pump. And then I do have a pump, a little 35 PSI pump that can pressurize this line. Gravity alone might do it. We'll see. But anyway, what's going on is the water from the tank is going to come down this line, and then we tee off here. So one of them carries on down and comes out down here for our cold water in the kitchen in here. But it also branches off and goes out the hole that I've drilled in the side of the can here. And then, so that's going to go to one of those outdoor hot water on demand shower water heater type units. I'll do a video when that comes up. We use another one somewhere else on the property for a shower, but we wanted one back here. Anyway, so that cold goes out and hooks up to the shower unit, and then the hot comes back in from the shower unit and goes down into our kitchenette here. Drilling the holes is pretty simple. I just use these variable speed metal hole saws. These ones are pretty good. This one's done a lot of holes in shipping cans and it's still going strong. The secret is just go, don't like give it full throttle on the drill. Just kind of go nice and slow. I put some light oil on it to keep it cooler. And it doesn't take long at all. So I drilled that one there and that one there. There's a lot of cold air coming in through here right now. So what I'm going to do, eventually, from the outside, I want to blow foam this all in. But I can't actually do that right now because it's winter and nothing will set. So what I'm going to do is use some of that acoustical sealant that I've been using all along back over there. And I'm going to put acoustical sealant around here because it doesn't freeze, it doesn't set, it doesn't do anything. It'll just always be a goopy mess right here. But if I put some of that on here and then do a square, I can actually fill all this in with some vapor barrier just to cover that cold air draft. And then I'll insulate it and vapor barrier on the outside of it, so you'll never really notice it. But next spring, before we finish the outside of the bunkie, I'll get some blow foam and spray it in there. But I'm going to continue working on, and I'll check back in with you. There, so it's a little bit of a mess. So what I did is I put a bunch of goo on, and then I put a piece of plastic that kind of folded in half, and then I glued the back of that plastic and put another sheet over it. So it's kind of like an envelope in here of plastic. Of course, the one spot that and then I sealed all around the pipes, all around the hole, all in here. And then I even tuck taped the plastic down. So like moments ago, I could feel all kinds of cold air coming in here, and now I don't feel any draft at all. And it's cold out today, so I think we're good. Now I can insulate it and vapor barrier the whole wall and sleep easy knowing that there's nothing coming in here for the winter. Okay, I finished up the insulation and vapor barrier. I got the acoustic sealant up there. I didn't bore you with the details. If you want to see how that was done and all that kind of stuff, check out our insulation and strapping video. Now I'm going to move ahead and get some OSB on that wall. And then from about that level over is going to be OSB. And then from that level over is OSB, and then all that, I'm actually going to do some half-inch ply, maybe a little bit thicker depending on what I have in stock. And then that'll give us some better mounting position, or better hold for our shelving and stuff like that. I was going to do, there's some of the people that were commenting. We had a couple people comment, or one person comment on our line, or on our channel in the comments, and then we had a couple people send us emails as well. They were worried about the strapping and holding the weight of uppers and like upper cabinets and all that kind of stuff. This Bunkie, it's going to have kind of like a cupboard at the bottom, but the top isn't going to have uppers like upper cabinets like you would in a house. Bunkie wise, it's not going to be a lot of dishes and food and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is just open shelves. At this point, I'm thinking I have a bunch of live edge. I think it might be maple. It's been a long time since I looked at it, but it's really thick. So I think I'm going to make some shelving, 2 shelves out of it, and then we'll have a set of dishes and some pots or some mixing bowls, things like that. So not a lot of weight on the shelves. But I agree that I think maybe I need to beef up this top section that's going to hold all of that. So I'm going to probably use whatever I have. I think I have some half inch or some 5/8 left over from another project. So I'll use that for up here. Down below, it's going to be kind of a cabinet, just something I build up in here, not the traditional, box cabinet and stuff like that. I'm going to come up with something, and again, we're going to use some live edge wood for the countertop. So that'll also help, because it'll be mounted to the floor, so that'll help hold everything against the wall, and these studs are actually screwed right into the shipping can itself, so I'm not too worried about it falling away. And also, from the top of the wall, once it's done, I'm thinking of putting some decorative beams in and stuff. So, for all you guys that commented about that, thanks a lot. Love the comments. Make sure everyone else, leave comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to work. Check back in a second. All right, we are ready to start on the counter design. So I've got just OSB there and there. The counter is going to come over. Well, actually, I put some tape on the ground here to show you the layout of the counter. So originally it was going to be way over here, but there's a pull-out bed that's going to be here. You can see the old tape line there, so that's the bed will come out to there. And by moving it over just a bit, that gives me lots of space for a table or something along there. We can pull out to eat and stuff like that. But that receptacle has to be inside of the counter, because that's to plug the fridge in. It's hooked up to our electrical panel behind me here on a switch. So the fridge goes there. Then there'll be a sink, like a counter cupboard with the sink in it. We're going to do like a lazy Susan in the corner, and then the stove. So counter height is going to come up to about that line. I think that's about 34, 35 inches, and then countertop and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be at the right counter height. This is all 1/4 inch stuff. This is 1/2 inch plywood. As I talked about, to hold up some shelves if needed. All of this is going to be covered with different types of wall finishes. This is just just because of the span and all that kind of stuff. Like on this side here, this shiplap is actually going to continue right over to the edge of this. I put a little nailer piece on there. So that'll all be shiplap right up to the top here. Once I figure out shelves, I have another idea for some wood finish on this wall, underneath the shelves and all that. And then this wall here, we're going to do kind of the same idea as we're doing here with the skid wood. We're going to put skid wood all up here above the stove, and then we'll be able to hang our cast iron pots, pans, all that kind of stuff up there. So I think it's getting later in the day, so I think I'm just going to spend the rest of the day today doing a little cleanup. And then tomorrow's Saturday, so I'll be back here all day. Hopefully I can get these counters built. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple screws in these still, but that's basically the idea of what we're going to do. So this one's open because the fridge goes in there, so you won't see any of the wall back there. We'll probably end up just painting it just so if you do see in, it'll look uniform and stuff. But the fridge, basically, it fits pretty tight in there. There's a little bit of room for ventilation and stuff, but so this is what I was talking about using the bottoms of the skids. I think once this is all done, because of all the wood and all that, I think these, I might paint them black or something like that, but on these ones here, where the hole goes through there, right there, I'm just going to put some backer plywood behind it, so nothing, you know, otherwise stuff's just going to get lost and kicked under there. But once these things are screwed on, it's nailed to the wall back there, or screwed to the wall, and then these will be, I'll be able to use these to screw into the countertop to hold that down. The other ones, all these other cabinets are going to have a floor in it, so they'll sit on top of these, on top of these things here, and then I have some pieces cut that I can put against the wall and against the sides and all that. So I'm going to carry on and show you in a bit. Okay, so we've got the second cabinet in. This is the one that's going to hold the sink. Just because of space restrictions, we wanted to put a full sink in there. But then this corner cupboard here would be pretty much useless. So I had to make it a little bit smaller, so we're going to use a 16 by 16, kind of like a bar sink type thing. I think it'll still look good and be pretty fun and be functional. So now we're on the corner cabinet here. So I've got to do the same thing with the floor. I've got to add plywood bracing kind of all the way around here, and then basically right where the square is, there's another cabinet side wall on it that goes here. And then the height actually drops down for where the stove goes. Propane stove is going to go in there, it's sitting over in the corner there. So I'm just going to get this one in here and then get the bracing in. I've got the floor cut out already there. I'd like to tape or record while I'm working in here, but it's such a small space, there's nowhere for me to put the camera. So, right up to there, I've just got to finish this shelf up here. Just doing a test fit of the countertop. A little beer commercial there. It's looking pretty good. I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish the outside edges of this. I might use some of the leftover skid stuff. Or I might use barn board. Barn board might be better because then I can make the doors and drawer fronts and faces and everything out of barn board as well. I'm not sure about that yet, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to finish up this piece here now, and then probably tomorrow I will, once this is all done, I'll miter this and add this piece on. And I can secure this to the the countertop to it, and then it needs a good sanding, so I might actually I might bring it outside and give it a really good sanding with a belt sander first. You know, it's a little bit cracked. This stuff was going to waste sitting in my father-in-law's property. It's just rotting away out in the outside, so I've grabbed a few pieces of it. I think it's going to look good as a countertop once we, you know, epoxy it or something, some kind of finish on it. But have you ever noticed that if there's any flat surface around, within minutes it's full of stuff? Like, how is that even possible? That counter isn't even permanently installed and already it's full of stuff. Ridiculous. Anyway. So we are continuing right along. We've got the last carcass bones of the cabinet built there, and the stove test fit. The stove is a little bit high. This opens up here, and those flaps kind of fold out. So this is like above waist height. Now the floor still has to come up 3/4 of an inch or something like that, so that's going to make it a little bit better. But there really wasn't a whole lot of choice for it, because on the countertop here, by the time I install this piece, it comes over, and there's a little bit of a vent here under the handle, so I didn't want that to be below the counter height. I guess I could have went down a little bit more. Well, yeah, I could have went down another inch or so. It's not too bad, I guess. It's not like, you know, you're going to be cooking a large turkey or anything out here. I think it's good enough. But anyway, yeah. So now I'm going to finish up I'm going to get the counter cut and then in place so I can mark that. And then the next step after that, I'm not sure. I might actually build the front of the cabinets now, like the trim it all out. I use barn board underneath that, and I think that's what I'm going to do all around. There's a whole bunch of scrap barn board, and if I don't have enough scrap for it now, I'll hold off building that part until I do, because there's lots of barn board projects still on the go. But I think I'll do barn board here. I got to build the trim to go around all of these, the end pieces here. Barn board on that outside wall, and then I'll probably even use barn board and stuff to build the drawer fronts and doors and all that. But we'll see how much scrap I have and all that kind of stuff. The counters, the cupboards themselves are not huge on the priority list right now. I'd like to get the shelf up, but you know, I can kind of work on the drawers and stuff as time allows. I'm just trying to get it a little bit usable, so you know, before the winter goes, we can have a little bit of a stay over in the bunkie. It'll be kind of fun, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I am laying out the 45 cut on my countertop. It's a little bit hard, or a little bit of a challenge, I guess, to make the 45 perfect because it's live edge. So you don't really have a straight line to mark your 45 with. So what I've done, and I won't know if it's right until everything's finished, but what I've done on the underside of this board, I basically drew what I think is a center line down it. Just roughly eyeballing it and all that kind of stuff. So I drew my center line, and then I used my speed square and found my 45 and marked it on this one. And I did it on the small one because it's a small piece, and you know, I can like if this one gets screwed up, it's just a 21-inch piece of wood. If I screw this one up, not that slab costs me anything, but it's a, you know, it's a 5-foot piece of wood, so it would be a little bit of a waste. Anyway, so I cut my 45, and now I am using that center line that I've drawn to line up with the edge of my counter. Because those are the only two, those lines should be parallel. It doesn't matter if the edge is not straight because it's a live edge piece and there's all kinds of dips and valleys or bows and all that kind of stuff in it. My counters are set, my base counters are 17 inches. This wood is also about 17 or 18 inches, which is leaving a gap at the back of about 2.5 inches. If I put one of these slabs on its side with my wall finish, that'll cover that gap. So I'm not worried about that space back there. Once it's all done, you won't notice it. The other thing I'm thinking of doing is through the whole piece of wood is this crack that goes all the way down it. So what I might do is take a jigsaw. Once this is all done and laying in place, I'll make a decision then, but I might take a jigsaw and cut that whole thing, cut this slab in half using that line, so all wiggly and all that. And then I can actually separate the counter by this 3 inches or whatever it is. And then I can either fill this with like some kind of a decorative epoxy. I see a whole bunch of furniture being made like that. Or I really like concrete countertops, so I could also fill this hole with concrete, and then, you know, polish that concrete up so it would be like wood and concrete in this whole countertop. It's a couple of different options. It's again, it comes down to just how much work, time, and effort do I put into a countertop that's in a bunkie that, you know, is not a permanent residence for us. But when I do stuff, I really like to, you know, kind of go over the top and make things a little bit fancy. So we'll weigh it all out. But for now, that's where I am. So I've got the countertop cut out. I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit when I cut on the barn there, because the top is a little uneven. The blade kind of did a little bit of a wonkiness at the back. You can see it's not really tight. So basically, I'm going to flip this piece over and cut it from the bottom. That's nice and flat and smooth, and that'll make a tighter joint here. So when I glue it up, it'll be nice and tight. And otherwise, we're going to get all kinds of dirt and grime and all that down in there. I put the stove in place, and we actually carried the fridge up from the pump house where we normally had it, and set it in place, so you can see it kind of fits in there pretty nicely. By the time I trim up all around the edges here and all that, it'll fit in there. It'll work nicely. I kind of wish the counter would have come out a little bit further, but it makes it easy to open with the top open like that. So yeah, I'll finish that up. I'll give the countertop a sand, and then we'll start working on some the backsplash and the shelving and stuff. Some of these boards are pretty beaten up, but I kind of like the look of it. So there's some of them that are got some really bad staining on it, but I really like these ones that have all of these lines and cracks and stuff in it. So as long as they don't fall on a place where I'm going to be screwing in shelf brackets or something, I kind of like those ones. I think once they're clear coated up, they'll look really good. All right, so the backsplash, back wall of the kitchen, really starting to take shape. I say this, these skids, they're a different thickness than normal skids, but I really like the look of it on here. I was originally going to plane this stuff, so it was a consistent thickness and, you know, clean up some water stains and stuff on them. And then I thought I'd just give it a quick sand, but now that it's all together, it kind of looks nice, so I might not do anything with it. Just give it a quick wipe, and then maybe put on a shiny top coat on this one, like a gloss. Most places we're just going to use like a semi-gloss or a matte kind of finish, but I think on this one it might look nice with a gloss. I just have that little piece there on the end. I am running out of this material. We only had 2 skids like this, so like I've got that one, but it's got horrible, like really ugly marks on it on both sides. There are a few smaller ones here. That one there might actually work. I do have this piece here. It's got a lot of cool cracks and grain in it. Pretty broken at the bottom, but I only need a little sliver anyway. I am going to bring it up to the table saw to cut it. I don't know if you probably can't see, but there's quite a smoky haze in here right now from cutting this stuff with the saw. It's really hard wood, and I think my blade might be getting dull. It might be time to get that sharpened, but I need to finish up the shiplap here, and then I've got a gap here. I thought, I think my measurement was off, or the level's off or something, but I have to take these 2 top pieces off and cut that notch a little bit more. Something's out of level. I checked the window and it's good, but something's not right there. So I think I'm gonna pull those 2 off, notch it, and then I can drop it down further. And because there's about a little over ½ inch difference in the space between there and there. So I want to be able to cover all that in. What you guys up to?
Painting the cabinets white. Or painting the cabinets white.
So I got the part of the other crew here today. Apparently, if you whine enough about painting, they come and do it for you.
I came because you said there's food. I was coming because I was told to.
If you want to eat in the kitchen, you can help paint it. So I've got 3 coats of clear coat on there. Makes it look quite a bit different. But now I can come back and get the shelves on and work on those shelves. The girls got the Jessica and Rebecca got a couple coats of paint on inside the carcasses there. So now I'll build the fronts just out of some barn board, I think. But we can start getting I can start building drawers and things like that in there. I'm going to call it quits for the day, but I'm going to turn on this propane heater overnight just to make sure that all this stuff gets a good dry before freezing up or anything. It's not too cold tonight anyway. I think it's only going to go down to 1 degree or something. So just that thing on low will keep it nice and warm in here.